Hello YouTube, this is Andrew, and this is a quick look at some of the smaller sample libraries that I own. They are produced by various sample library developers, and I find these libraries to be awesome. They're very cheap, very reasonably priced, and they function really well. They fit well into a mix. They're relatively versatile for what you're paying for. And they sound very natural and realistic in most cases. Not all of them, but some of them especially. So the first one on the list is 8Dio Epic Percussion. Epic Room Percussion, I should say. And it comes with various patches, but the two I wanted to highlight just kind of show off the library. This is the floor and high rototom, and the second one is the Epic Room Percussion combo, which is, I think, all the different percussion involved. It's exactly what it sounds like. They recorded various percussion inside of a small room, so you don't have a lot of control. Like they don't build in reverb or other things into the sample library, but there is a little bit on the raw files, and you can add external reverb. Let me just play a couple sounds for you, and then we'll talk about it. Now, what I like about this library is the sound and how in your face it is. It's very easy to EQ and add reverb, whatever, to get it to sit better into a mix. What is frustrating about the library, and I totally understand why they did this, they pitch stretched a lot of the samples across the spectrum. So you're tricked into thinking you actually have a wider range of samples available to you, but oftentimes it just ends up sounding fake. Again, I see why they did it, but I would rather them just give me 2 to 3 different playable keys on the keyboard and let me do the pitch shifting later. Yeah, that's really my only complaint. Onto the Epic Room Percussion combo. This kind of gives you a glimpse into the entire library. But again, I like this because you kind of hear the sticks hitting each other sometimes. You hear the mallet hitting the drum. In big epic cinematic percussion, you miss attacks, you miss breaths, you miss silences, you miss things that happen in real music. Just because people aren't listening for that, or it's all EQ'd out or whatever. It's all just hidden behind a wash of sound. So yeah, I'll play a couple of those. Nice library for what it does. It's got more patches in there, but these are kind of some of the better ones, I think. Moving on, this is Cinesamples cineorch, orchestra, of course, short for orchestra. Cute. Okay, they sampled entire orchestral sphere, like sounds, and broke it up into chords. So the kind of bluish notes over here, these are major chords in different major inversions. The chords over here are minor various inversions. The chords up here are, I believe, augmented. I don't remember actually. These are the 2D chords, so it's kind of a bigger span of the orchestra. They have things like low chords, they have octaves, whatnot, but it's great for layering. Like if you fill out an orchestration, you go, oh, I'm just missing that big wash of sound. You layer cineorch over something, give it some reverb, whatever, EQ, it makes your piece just fill out. Let me play a couple examples. And this is CC1, aka the modulation wheel. It is mutable. And then if you hit the keys hard enough, it plays staccato. John Williams, anyone? Okay, moving on. This is the Embertone Chapman trumpet. This is just absolute gem. I I really, really like this library for a lot of reasons. It comes with legato, staccato, polysustain. I'm just not even going to do that. This is all about the legato in this case. Yeah, let me play a few things and we'll talk about it. It does not, to my knowledge, react to the mod wheel, with the exception of it adds a little bit of artificial vibrato, but it's not really noticeable. This is a solo trumpet, so it's very intimate, it's very in your face. The downsides of this library are, of course, the lack of customization. You can go in and change samples, I suppose, but there's no real reason to. And occasionally, when the samples loop, say you're sustaining a note, I guess what's the equivalent of rebreathing, like taking a new breath so you can keep sustaining a note. The crossfades on those samples are a little sketchy at times. Sometimes there's little like volume increases and whatnot that can interrupt, but there are ways to get around that with programming. Just treat your sample like a real player and give it time to breathe, and you won't have to run into those issues. Other than that, this is a fan-freaking-tastic library. I like to layer this over other trumpet samples just to give it a nice shimmer. It's great. Give it some reverb, whatever. Okay, also Embertone. This is a free library. This is Intimate Strings Light, so it's kind of a partial string quartet, or at least a very small section of strings. No, I will start from the bottom and work my way up. So this is the polysustain. The mod wheel changes volumes and velocities, and it sounds very nice. Same thing, this is Sordino. They also give you a little legato patch. I almost hate to get into what I don't like about the library because it's free and I was under no obligation to download it. But if I were to say, well, it's not what's wrong with it, it's just the limitations. The limitations are, of course, the range. It looks like they give you about close to the whole cello range, and then like this D4 up here, and then it just starts to peter out. Like you can't really play that. I guess you could pitch shift above that. But once you start messing with pitch, you lose the realism in the samples. The legato sounds are nice because it is a full ensemble. You don't have a lot of flexibility in terms of when other instruments play and when other ones don't. They just kind of all play at the same time whenever it comes into their range. That being said, it's fantastic, very nice, it's free. Okay, this is Fluffy Audio, my piano. It's an upright piano. I love upright pianos because they just sound close, they sound intimate. Man, I'm using those words a lot. Like, I guess that's what I like about certain samples. I like the intimate sound rather than the big cinematic sound. Like, anyone can do that. That's not true. That is easier to do than force yourself to be exposed to your audience and your listeners. It's easy to hide behind reverb or hide behind big sound. Okay, off my soapbox. Here we go. Again, this is an upright piano. Well, I will leave the reverb on. As with all upright pianos, you lose a little oomph on the lower half of the piano. That's just the way it goes versus a grand piano. But other than that, like, it's just really shimmery. good sound, good attack. It's highly customizable and programmable. Different pedal volumes, pedal resonance, and sympathetic vibration. So they put a lot of time into making the samples alive, like bringing them to life. Yeah, Fluffy Audio, my piano. Okay, Spitfire Labs. This is fantastic. Spitfire Labs, of course, I use a lot of Spitfire libraries myself, like the Albion series. I have the solo strings. They just released like the Hans Zimmer produced percussion library. So they're all over the place. I think to this date, they have like one of the top premier libraries in the world. You can't even buy it. You have to like apply for it and then they give it to you. It's really expensive. So everything they do is with tape. They do everything in like this really awesome acoustic hall. So it's very live, very realistic, more classical oriented, but it falls right into the cinematic sound for samples very easily. So these are the Spitfire Labs, the UNICEF donation samples. If you create a username and you donate €2 or pounds, whatever it is, to UNICEF, and then they give you access to the samples. Now, again, these are very small. They're the equivalent of free, except they're not. It's an obligatory donation. So this is a toy piano. I love toy pianos. If you don't know what they look like, go ahead and Google it. They look like Schroeder's piano from the Peanuts. And it sounds like this. Very, very characteristic of, it just has that sound, you know? I feel like you could use it in like creepy clown music or children's music or something. But toy pianos always sound like there's something broken inside of them, and there usually are. And that's exactly what this sounds like. Moving on, this is, for example, one of their drum kits that they released. I think this is one of the newer ones. It's got good mic positions, all that stuff. Let's see. Nice sounds. Again, the mic positions make it quite versatile. Just, it's got a, it sounds like you're right there in the studio with them. Finally, this is probably my favorite. This is a felt piano. They kind of put a bunch of felt in between a lot of the strings, so you're only hearing portions of what the piano actually can do. And this is, in my opinion, one of the most hard-hitting libraries I own, even though it's supposed to be one of the most delicate. It's got massive emotional effect and appeal on just about any genre that you could think to put it on. I think the first piece I used this in was a piece called Fallen. It was for a little like short film a couple of years ago. Anyways, the opening was like this. And you hear I'm just holding the pedal down, and if you're listening closely or you get it and you listen, like the pedal and the ringing inside the piano is really alive. It sounds magnificent. You put reverb or some EQ or delay, whatever you want, and you have an awesome, awesome, awesome cinematic piano sample or something for indie music, because the stereo spread on there is just huge. So yeah, that's the Spitfire Labs. Let me pull up, okay, yeah, here's the Spitfire page. If you go spitfireaudio.com/Spitfire- or /Spitfire-lab, or just Google Spitfire Labs, you'll be taken to a page where you can sign up for an account, and then you donate through UNICEF, and then you can download. Here's Fluffy Audio. This is the upright piano at $69. The Embertone Intimate Strings Light. This is free. Also Embertone. This is a Chapman trumpet. This is $30. Cinesamples is, how much is this? $59 right now. I think that's a sale going on at Cinesamples because of the holidays. Normal it is $100. And then the 8DO Epic Room Percussion. Again, this might be sale price, but right now it's basically $20. Super cheap. Absolutely fantastic. And again, some of these prices represent holiday sales. So if you're going to get those, jump on those before those end. Yeah, so that wraps up this quick look at the small libraries. Never underestimate the power of small libraries. There's a lot out there. Just explore in your spare time. There's a lot of different forums and blogs and whatnot that you can look at where to find kind of who's out there making independent libraries. And they're awesome. And again, these all run through Contact. I think Contact's 50% off right now, so maybe grab that during the holiday sale. It comes with a lot of the factory selection. It's the equivalent of all the stock sounds that come in Logic, but they have their own. Those are awesome too. It's got like a reduction of the Vienna Symphonic Library for some of the orchestral sounds. Between that and a couple of these, you're going to be set for a while to compose kind of whatever you want. So yeah, happy composing, YouTube, and we'll see you next video.